"You're stepping on your father," my mother said. And indeed I was standing exactly in the center of a bed of grass, mown so neatly it could have been my father's grave, although there was no stone saying so. "You're stepping on your father," she repeats, louder this time, which began to be strange to me, since she was dead herself. Even the doctor had admitted it. I moved slightly to the side where my father ended and my mother began. The cemetery was silent. Wind blew through the trees. I could hear the faintly sounds of weeping several rows away, and beyond that, a dog wailing. At length the sounds abated. It crossed my mind. I had no memory of being driving yet to what now seemed a cemetery, though it could have been a cemetery in my mind only. Perhaps it was a park of a not a park, a garden of a bower, perfumed and now released, with the scent of roses, though sighed the river filling the air, the sweetness of a living, and the saying goes, at some point it occurred to me I was alone. You heard the others gone, my cousins and sister, Kathleen and Abigail. By now the light was fading. Where was the car waiting to take us home? I then began seeking for some alternative. I felt an impatience growing in me, approaching, I would say, anxiety. Finally, in the distance I made out a small train, stopped it seemed behind some village, the conductor lingering against a door frame, smoking a cigarette. "Do not forget me," I cry, running now over many plots, many mothers and fathers. "Do not forget me," I cry, when at last I reached him. "Madam," he said, pointing to the tracks, "surely you realize this is the end, the tracks do not go further." His words were harsh, and yet his eyes broken. They encouraged me to press my case harder. "But they go back," I said, and I remarked their sadness as though they had many such returns ahead of them. "You know," he said, "our work is difficult. We confront much sorrow and disappointment." He gazed at me with increasing frankness. "I was like you once," he added in a laugh with turbulence. Now I spoke as to one old friend. "What of you?" I said, since he was free to live. "Have you no wish to go home, to see the city again?" "This is my home," he said. The city is where I disappear." Dawn. Child waking up in a dark room, screaming, "I want my dog back, I want my dog back," in a language nobody understands, and alas, there is no dog. But the dog, all upholstered in white plush, the dog is right there in the crib next to him. Years and years, that is how much time passed, all in a dream, but the dog No one knows what happened to that. They we just met now. They're sleeping near an open window, partly to wake them, to assure them that what they remember of the night is correct. Now light needs to enter the room, also to show them the context in which tears are great. Socks hole hidden under a dirty mat, quite decorated with the green leaves. They specifying this, but not what the objects. Setting boundaries of itself nor arbitrary. The jarring, describing each things in a detail, fastidious like a composition in English, even a little blood on the sheets. Afterward, they separate for the day. Even later, at the desk in the market, the manager not satisfied with the faggots he's given. The berries mouldy under the dampest slab. That one withdraws from their war. Even as one continues to take action you get home. That's when you notice the mold. Too late, in other words, as though the sun blinded you for a moment. Dick, ever since then in the car, slept in the car, slept like angels in the dawn graveyards. Begone, a weak smith, spoiled piss, and gangling in their pots. We stole, and then in the egg downtown, I hear my insiders roll into a crib. Wishing underwear in the Atlantic, touch the sun and see as light weld, the good, the war, what the. After a girl down, we went the other way. Until I loved beyond the status of his enemies' hands. Swear converse for prey beneath. Dripping white stripped open to the wind. I saw the lambs converting in his glasses. Rob me, but how long? Past currently I saw my body stretching like a tear along the Dead End. I said, listen, angel, win me from this beat. I said, divorce me from this crap this steady did. Of abuse with a zero, abuse with a vodka and tomato juice. Your planet billets, though among the brick a brick. Stain was my way of hitting back. I tended his and the man did as dishes. For mouths, the whole visions, standard capitation. But my dear, if now I dream about your hands, your hair, it's the waywardness of that I miss, like chess, mind against mind. It's no small thing, this coming to this camp to buy living. Here's been fever from outside 16 years ago. For 16 years I've sat and waited for things to get better. I have to laugh. You know, I used to dream that I might up to death, or else he had fallen in love again and turned the house on someone else. Well, I suppose he has. Although I sense an absence, and today he left his poached egg staring like a dying eye, his toast untouched. Anniversary. Well, November's hit Paris again. The Times records a mean temperature of 30. I bunching about the Madeleine flower sellers, outstreet the future with the noses rigorously immersed in stale roses, or so I remember. Incredibly, it was the 21st last week, and my affection turned out limber after all. Oh, Stephen, with the haven't been married now, I still got our China, some broken and some laden, but the first I've really though I feel for mounts was just tonight when with my fork suspended I was saying how I loved New York. Grandmother in the garden, the grass bellowed the willow. Oh, my daughters, wash it, girl, with the earthworms, and the world is a measuring into row and row of unsparing houses paint the simmer reel. The dragon Long Island summer sun rains pattern from those empty sleeves beyond my grandson squealing in his pen. I have served my life. The yellow Dellen lies, the oak leaf, and the wire windy smell with the unchanging change of the baby. My children have their husband's hands, my husband's framed propped bells as a baby on their penis. my tremendous man. I close my eyes and all the clothes I have thrown out come back to me, the banners on my daughter's lips. They drift. I see the sheer summer cotton's drift equivalent to the air. You die when your spirit dies, otherwise you live. You may not do a good job of it, but you go on something you have no choice about. When I tell this to my children, they pay no attention. They're old people, they think this is what they always do. Talk about things no one can see to cover up all the brains, tell they're losing. They wink at each other, listen to the old one talking about the spirit, because he can't remember anymore the word for share. It's terrible to be alone. I don't mean to live alone, to be alone where no one hears you. I remember the words for cheer. I want to stay, I'm just not interested anymore. I wake up thinking you have to prepare. Soon the spirit will give up. All the chairs in the world won't help you. May I know what they say when I am out of the room. Should I be seeing someone? Should I be taking one of the new drugs for depression? I can hear them in the whispers, planning how to divide the cost. And I want to scream out, you're all of you living in a dream. But enough the thing to watch me falling apart. But enough without the electron they get the stars. As though I had in rise to this new information. Well, they have to samurai. They're living in a dream and I'm preparing to be ghost. I want to shout out. The mists have collided. It's like some new life. You have no stake in the outcome. You know the outcome. Think of it. 60 years sitting in the chairs. And now the mortal spirit seeking so openly, so fiercely, to rise, to wail, to see what you're saying goodbye to. I didn't go back for a long time. When I saw the feeling again, autumn was finished. Here at the finish, almost before it starts. The old people don't even own summer closing. The field was covered with snow, immaculate. There wasn't sign of what happened here. You didn't know whether the farmer is replaying it or not. Maybe he gave up and moving away. The police did catch the girl. After a while, they said she moved to some other country, one where they don't have fells. A disaster like this leaves no mark on the earth, and people like that, they think it gave them a fresh start. I stood a long time staring at nothing. After a bit, I noticed how dark it was, how cold. A long time. I have no idea how long. Once the years decided to have no memory, time seems in a way meaningless. But no to my children, they're after me to make a will. They're worrying the government will take everything. They should come with me sometimes to look at this field under the cover of snow. The whole thing is frightening out there. nothing, I have nothing to give them. That's the first part. The second is I don't want to be burned. On one side the soul wanders, on the other human beings living it there. In between the pit of disappearance, some young girls ask me if they be safe near Averno. They're cold, they want to go south a little while, and one says like a joke, but not too far south. I say as safe as anywhere which makes them happy. What it means is nothing is safe. You get on the train, you disappear. You write your name on the window, you disappear. There are places like this everywhere, places you enter as a young girl, from which you'll never return. Yeah, like the field, the one that burning. Afterward, the girl was going. Maybe she didn't exist. We have no proof either way. All we know is the field burning, but we saw that. So we have to believe in the girl, in what she did. Otherwise, just verses we don't understand, rolling the years. The girls are happy, think of the vacation, don't take a train. I say, yeah. They write their names in the mist on the train window. I want to say, you're good girls trying to leave your names behind. Yeah. We spend the whole day sailing the archipelago, the tiny islands at the web of the peninsula, until they're broken off into the fragments you see now, floating in the northern sea of water. They seem safe to me, I think, because no one can lift it. Later we sat in the kitchen watching the evening star, and then the snow, first one, then the water. We grow silent hypnotized by the snow, as though waking of a turbulence that had been hidden before was becoming visible. Something within the night exposed now. In your silence we're asking this question, friends who trust each other ask of a grateful dude, each one hoping the other knows more. And when this isn't so hoping, there's shared impression will amount to insight. Is there any benefit in forcing upon oneself the realization that one must die? Is it possible to miss the opportunity of one's life? Questions like that, the snow heavy, the black night transformed into buzzy white air, something we hadn't seen revealed. Only the meaning wasn't revealed. Yeah. Early December in the Groton on Hudson. Speak it sun, the Hudsons, whittled down by ice. I hear the bone dice of the dawn gravel clicking. Bone pale, there isn't snow, fastened like fur to the river. Stand still, we were leaving to deliver. Christmas presents will the eye blow last year. About the dead wolf's pine spur, down by a storm stood, limbs bare. I want you. The drowned child. You see, they have no judgment. So it is natural that they should drown. First the ice taking them in, and then all winter the wool scarce floating behind them as they sink until at last they are quiet, and the ponds leave them at the manifold dark arms. But death must come to them differently, so close to the beginning, as though they had always been blind. Therefore, the rest is dreaming. The lamb, the good white clothes that covering the table, their bodies. Waters blue and permanent. Yeah. End of winter. Over the still world, a bird calls, waking solitary among black bones. You want to be born, I let you be born. When his one grief ever gotten in the way of your pleasure, plunging ahead into the dark and light at the same time, eager for sensation, as though you were some new thing who went in to express yourselves as a brilliance, all vivacity. Never thinking this would cost you anything. Never imagined the sound of my voice as anything but part of you. You won't hear in the other world, not clearly again, not in a bird color human cry, not a clear sound, only person sensation, and all sound that means goodbye, goodbye. The one continuous line that binds us to each other. Yeah, hollows. Even now this landscape is emblazoned, the hills darken, the oxen sleep in the blue oak, the fields haven't been picking clean, the sills bound evenly and pale in the roadside amen, since sun can fall as to the moon rises. This is the barrenness of a harvest or pestilence, and the wife leaning out of the window with her hand extended as in a payment, and the seats distinct, gold, calling, come here, little one, and the soul creeps out of the tree. Yeah, elms. All day I try to distinguish need from desire. Now in the dark I feel one the better sentence for us, the builders, the planets of the woods, because I have been looking steadily at their arms and seen the process that creates the writing stationary tree is storming, and have understood it will make no forms but twisted forms. A fable. Two women with the same claim came to the feet of the wise king. Two women by only one baby. The king knew someone who was lying. What he said was that the children be cut in half. That way no one will go empty-handed. He drew his sword. Then of the two women, one renewed his share. This was the sign, the lesson. Suppose you saw your mother torn between two daughters. What could you do to save her? Would be willing to destroy yourself. She would know who was the rightful child, the one who couldn't bear to divide the mother. Yeah. Orange. It is not the moon, I tell you. It is these flowers lighting the yard. I had them as I had sex. The man's smile, still in my mouth, the man's paralyzing body, and the cry that always escapes, the low, humiliating premise of a union. In my mind tonight, I hear the questions and pursuing answers fused in one sound, the mounts and then is spelled into the old cells that try antagonism. Do you see where mad fills off, and the skin of a milk orange drifts through the window? How can I rest? How can I be content? Well, there is still that order in the world. Summer, on nights like this we used to swim in the quarry, the boys making up games requiring them to tear all the girls' clothes, and the girls operating because they had new bodies since last summer, and they wanted to exhibit them, the brave ones leaping on the high rocks, bodies crawling in our water. Tonight we're humid still. The stone was cool and wet, marble for graveyards for buildings that were never safe, buildings in cities far away. On cloudy nights you were blind. Those nights the rocks were dangerous, but in another way it was all dangerous. That was what we were after. The summer started. and the boys and girls begin to pad off, but always there were a few left at the end, sometimes that keep to watch, sometimes they pretend to go off with each other like the rest, but what could they, that they're in the woods? No one wanted to be them, but they show up anyways, though some night the look would change, fate would be a different fate. At the beginning and the end, though we were all together after the evening closes, after the smaller children were in the bed, then we were free. Nobody said anything, but we knew the night would meet and the nights we wouldn't. Once or twice, at the end of the summer, we could see a baby was going to come out of all that kissing. And for those two, it was terrible as being alone. The game was over. We'd sit on the rocks, smoking cigarettes, worrying about the ones who weren't there. And then finally walk home though, the fields, because there was always work the next day. And the next day we were kids again, sitting on the front steps in the morning, eating a peach, jotted by the seaman honor to have a mouse, and then going to work, which meant helping out in the fields. One boy worked for an old lady building shelves. The house was very old, maybe built when the mountains was built. And then the day faded, we were dreaming, waiting for night, standing on the front door at twilight, watching the shadows lengthen, and a voice in the kitchen was always complaining about the heat, wanting the heat to break. Then the heat broke, the night was clear, and you thought of the boy or girl you'd be meeting later. And you thought of walking into the woods and lying down, practicing all those things you were learning in the water. And though sometimes you couldn't see the person you were with, there was no subtitle for that person. The summer night glow in the fields, fireflies were glittering, and for those who understood such things, the stars were sending messages. You will leave the village where you were born, and in another country you will become where rich, where powerful. But always you will mark something you left behind, even though you can say what it was, and eventually you will return to seek it. Yeah.